What is up, YouTube? It is Lucid Alvar here today with another video, and today we're actually going to be talking about, you guessed it, some more Kenshi. But before we get into it, let me just say that I do have a Discord down below if you guys do want to join, and also feel free to hit that sub and like button if you guys really do end up enjoying the video. It really helps out a lot, and it really, lets me see what you guys like to see based on Kenshi. But without further ado, let's get straight into it. So this is going to be another addition to the Strange Places lore. So now, we have talked about obedience before, but today we're actually going to go a little bit more deeper into the lore hole of the First Empire. We're going to talk about Stobe's Garden, specifically where Stobe rests. So, there's a whole area in Stobe's Garden, but we're specifically going to be talking about the area where Stobe rests. And in case you guys don't know who Stobe is, I will show you a picture right here. But without further ado, let's go straight into the first point. So, the place itself is kind of weird as it refers to someone of importance in the story. And in case you guys don't know, Stobe is actually a really important figure in the moon's history, in Kenshi's history, because he had actually saved pretty much the entire moon by doing one heroic, selfless act after his whole entire kind had been wiped out by the humans, and he even saved the humans as the humans were programmed to do. He pretty much stopped the missile from coming and destroying everything and wiping out everything that had ever lived on the moon. So it's kind of weird because no other place is actually named after someone of historical importance. And what I mean by that is you can look at the Fog Islands and you can be like, well, the Fog Islands are named after the fog, but I mean, I'm pretty sure you could just say that the Fog Islands were actually just they have been there forever, the Fog Islands had probably had that name forever before the Hivers probably even came. And the Fogmen were just probably given that name because, they would go to the Fog Islands. Because that fog has been there for pretty much a long-ass time. Pretty much as long as the things that Obedience had happened. And I mean, yeah, you could say Obedience and the Crater are both they both name things that probably happened in Kenshi's history. And the Ashlands too, if you even want to go down that road. But I just mean in terms of an actual person. And I mean, I guess you could say Okron, but Okron can be kind of said to be Stobe, in case you guys didn't know that. But I mean, just in terms of naming somebody directly, Stobe's Garden and Stobe's Gamble are two places named after one person, which is pretty much not a person, a skeleton, behemoth, because behemoths aren't people. Anyways, but yeah, two places named after a skeleton of significance in Kenshi. So yeah, that's pretty weird in my opinion, and it's quite nice to know that the skeletons themselves gave the name to this area to honor Stobe for what he did and everything, and that is actually a huge thing, because the skeletons do know what happened, they do know the entire history and everything, and they were able to name this place after Stobe because of what he did for them. And they kind of probably hate his sacrifice, and some of them probably did like his sacrifice, but you would never know. So now let's get a little bit more deep into this, because Stobe can actually be found resting here, which is pretty cool. You get to see a behemoth, how big they actually were. You could put your character right next to Stobe himself, and see what he is. And also credit to this Reddit user, because I am going to use his photo, so credit to him, and I'll leave his Reddit in the description below, to making a city next to Stobe, because that is actually pretty cool. Anyways, back to the main point of this video. So Stobe can actually be found resting here with the missile next to him, so you could assume that Stobe himself looked like he got blasted against the wall, because the wall does seem to have kind of cracks. Not the wall, but the mountain itself seems to have cracks and stuff in it. And it looks like he kind of did get kind of pushed back into it. At least that's what it looks like to me. I don't know how other people can look at it and see it. But you do notice a lot of his skeleton missing. A lot of his actual body parts missing, and they've kind of fallen off and everything. So you can assume this blast from this missile was kind of huge. And also, if you notice on his face, he is missing one of the things on his head. And he is also missing, or he's not missing anything, but he has a heat displacement on his face, so it looks like whatever he got hit with, it kind of hit him in the face too. But I mean, if you look at the rest of his body, it looks like it's kind of just rusting, so there is that too. But if you actually do go to where the missile is kind of buried, which isn't that far away from it, it's probably just it's just a little bit forward from him, he's kind of facing it. the missile is huge, and it looks like it could have been a plan B in case life turned dangerous on the moon, which I will talk about a little bit later in this video. But, you know, that's pretty interesting. You know, Stobe this is his final resting place. He pretty much stopped the whole entire missile from crashing into the moon, and he saved all of humanity, or not really all of humanity, but everything that's living there, because that's what behemoths were programmed to do. They were programmed to save humanity, but more in turn, protect them to their last breath and be super loyal. So now on to the third thing. So this could actually be the founder of the religion of Okran, or the founder pretty much used Stobe as the, religion of Okran, because if you do go into their scriptures and everything, you'll see that Okran got hit with the blast of light, and he had shed himself into two, one of greatness and one of evil. And pretty much, I'm pretty sure you could take the deviation from that they could be talking about Stobe here, because Stobe did get hit with a huge ass fucking missile, and he did get charred and everything. And I mean, in terms of his light side, that's where he kind of is like, what are they talking about here? But they could be all like an allegory for, by bright side they mean that he was a skeleton that had been, kind of a little bit more on the oppressive side. They looked at him like he was oppressive, but he still found some greatness in his heart to, do the right thing and save all of life. So, there is that interpretation right there that you could use. And that he left his body because, the skeletons are inherently evil, because that is what the entire religion is. So, it would be a whole entire flip on the whole entire Okran religion that, this would be true. But, this could pretty much be what they're talking about when they're talking about the birth of Okran, because even the skeletons themselves say that it started off noble. But, I am going to make a huge ass video on this with Stobe and everything. So, I'm just giving you kind of like the footnotes for the next video. But let's go on to the fourth point, and it's what the bomb actually could have been. So the bomb itself could have been left by, the past civilization, the first empire, to wipe out the moon in case things went south. Kind of like a plan B type of thing, where if things went south, and I mean, it looked like they were planning for things to go south, they would just drop this bomb out of the sky and pretty much leave the moon and think it's a wasteland. So there isn't telling how many they dropped, but if you were to believe this, I think you could probably draw a conclusion that there was one dropped in the Ashlands, and Stobe's gamble is where the other one was dropped, but Stobe managed to take care of that one, and that's why he rests in Stobe's garden now. And it wouldn't be that far-fetched to think that, because there's a lot of acid in pretty much Stobe's gamble. There's a lot of acid pools and everything, a lot of pollution, a lot of active volcanoes and stuff. So it wouldn't be that bad of an assumption if you made that assumption, right? So pretty much I think that is what it is. But again, this is going to be like more expanded upon in my next video for Stobe. But that is pretty much everything on the lore of Stobe's garden that there really is in this specific area. Like, there is other places that I can talk about, but I did want to just focus in on this one little area because I am making a video on Stobe himself. But if you guys did enjoy the video, remember to leave a like and subscribe. It really means a lot to me that you guys do, and you guys sometimes leave comments and stuff. I really love reading them and I love replying to them. So, it really helps me out with like what you guys really want to see. And hopefully you guys really do enjoy this video. It did take me a little bit more time to make because, it's a little bit hard to research a lot of this stuff because I've just been super busy lately, but I am opening up my schedule a little bit more, and hopefully you guys just really enjoyed this video. It took me a little bit of time, but I love you guys. Have a nice week, and I'll see you guys later.